most important thing or the most important moment in my career, it was the moment that the audition to enter to the company, to the Paris Opera Ballet. I was for 1 year at the school, Paris Opera Ballet School, after the Prix de Lausanne, and I realized at this moment that I was a professional dancer and dancing in this wonderful building that was the Palais Garnier. And it was for me really something really big. I was coming from Cartagena, from the south of Spain. I was just dancing for my pleasure, and there I became a professional dancer. So after that, I did all my work in Paris Opera, became quadrille, coryphée, sujet, premier danseur, even étoile after, and that gave me the possibility to work with so many different choreographers, like Jean-Claude Galota, like Pina Bausch, like Forsyth, like Matsek, and at the same time I could abord all the classical repertoire, all the Nureyev ballet, even some from Patrice Bar, like Scopelia. And I think that for me it was important, like, to switch, to go from classical to contemporary pieces. And each time that I was working with a new choreographer, I discovered things about me, and it was interesting, and that kept me until 42, having fun on stage. And it was like, I used to say that I dance much more than I imagined when I was a child. So I was really so happy about my career as a dancer. I started doing choreography because when I was working with choreographers, sometimes perhaps as like some kind of frustration, because they were asking me to do things, and it was for sure great, but I wanted sometimes to do it in another way, in my way. And when you are a dancer working with Matsek, with Pina Bausch, you need to listen to them and you need to do it in the way they ask you to do it. So it was great, but at the same time I wanted to do something more personal. So I started doing choreography for myself, for some friends, and using classical vocabulary, but trying to go, I don't know, to give to this vocabulary a little bit more fluidity, like to use this academic vocabulary to do somewhere else. And I started in 2002. I did my first full-length Les Enfants du Paradis in 2008. It was a big piece with 70 dancers, more than 300 costumes, 2 hours ballet that I did in 6 weeks. Not 3, 6 weeks. It's quite fast. But the good thing in Paris Opera, they have 11 studios, so we were working in all the studios at the same time. It was an incredible experience for me. And after this ballet, I saw that it was really exciting for me to be a choreographer. Some way I think that I had 2 last performances in Paris Opera, because I remember the last one, it was Les Enfants du Paradis, and at the same time it was the first time that I danced, and the only time that I danced my piece. It was really great because it was at the same time my last performance, but I was performing for the first time one of my ballets. So it was really a big moment. But a few months ago I danced La Casa de Bernarda Alba from Matsek, and I think that that was also a kind of like my last performance. I was really there, and at the end of this performance I had the sensation that it was already finished, that my career was finished. So after, when I did the performance at the end of the season of Les Enfants du Paradis, it was to have all my friends and everyone with me, but in my head I was already stopping dancing. I never thought that I would be a director in the future. I was thinking to continue doing choreography, but the Ministry of Culture of Spain called me and asked me to come to to take my experience in Paris to help the ballet in Spain. So it was a quite difficult situation because the Compagnia Nacional was a contemporary company, and the idea from the Ministry of Culture, it was to do like a versatile company, able to dance big classical ballets and contemporary pieces at the same time. I think that coming back to Spain, it was something that it was like necessary for me. When I was doing my last performance in Paris, Brigitte Lefebvre, who was the director there, proposed me to stay in the company as a ballet master. But at this moment, I had the sensation that it was too strange for me to stay all my professional life in the same Paris Opera, in the same building. So I wanted to have my own experiences. And going back to Spain, it was a way to bring back to my country all the French culture that I learned when I came to France. And you know, in Spain there are not a lot of companies. It's quite difficult to be a ballet dancer, so my idea was to help the ballet dancers in Spain. In the company there was like 42 dancers when I arrived. When I quit the company there were 52, 10 more dancers. It was nice to be in Spain, but at the same time it was really difficult because the company was really not a big budget, not a theater. It's like a traveling company, so it was really difficult like to build a season, and it was really difficult to work with choreographers to have a date for a premiere. I was there from the morning to the evening, working in everything, trying to find some sponsor for the company, working with the dancers. So it was really interesting for me, but it was quite hard at the same time. I gave a new identity to the company, and when I left the company 8 years after, they had a Don Q, they have a Nutcracker, they have a lot of pieces from Forsyth, so we did a big work there. And I think that all the work that I did in Madrid and all the work that I did after as a freelance choreographer give me the background to be now the director of Paris Opera Ballet. In fact, I was building my career as a freelance choreographer. I was like working in, like I still today, working in different companies, and when I learned that Aurélie left the Paris Opera, I say, oh, that's maybe an opportunity, but it's like so big, it's another life. But finally I decided to apply for this position because I thought it was my house and it was a kind of wonderful opportunity. But I applied without thinking that could happen one day. And finally, after all these months, I am the new director of the Paris Opera Ballet. It's difficult for me even to believe it today. I will start next week there, and the good thing is I know very well the Paris Opera. The fact that I was doing choreography there, I work with the Paris Opera Ballet School. Also, we were on tour with Les Enfants du Paradis, so I know how things works in Paris Opera. But it's a big responsibility to take the head of this big company, this institution. It's 154 dancers, and you need to take care of the career of each one of them. So that will be a big work, and I will do my best. I would like to work with a lot of contemporary choreographers, to bring new choreographers there, to continue programming all the ballets from Nureyev, all the old repertoire. And I think that there is something important now in Paris who was missing this last season, is all the new creation using point shoes. I would like to take the point shoes into our century, because I think that it's important, and this evolution, you know, the Paris Opera was the place where the academic ballet starts. So now is maybe the place that this technique needs to have an evolution. I think that it's good for the company to still performing Pina Bausch pieces and all these kind of contemporary pieces, but we need a balance between the classical, the old repertoire, contemporary creation, and this middle part which is missing, with all the new version of the classical ballets, of Swan Lake, of Don Q, to change to do new version and new ballets on point shoes. It's really necessary. In Paris Opera they work like 3 years before, so even the season 24-25 is already done. I will change small things, but we are already working in 25-26. So it will take time. Next season will be the Aurélie Dupont season, and 24-25, that will be a mix. But that will give me the time to know how to work in the company. We need to work in all the management of the company, of the dancers, the ballet master. I want to reorganize a little bit the work, because if we want to abort contemporary thing, classical thing, and new creation on pointers, we need to really, it's 154 dancers, but you know, some of them still dancing only contemporary pieces and are not able anymore to do classical pieces. So we need to work in the studio first. So that will give me the time to give a new energy to the company. I think that's also important. Yes, I work in the school. I did a ballet for the school, Scaramouche, in 2005, and I am in touch already with Elisabeth Platel. We want to work together. It's important that the school is like close to the company. First of all, to prepare dancers to enter into the company, to have the professional transition. And I think that we need to, the school need also to, how to say that, to continue to be alive. You know, it's important because, you know, the school stay completely classical school, the company is going to the contemporary side, but we need to be in between for both. The company needs to go into the classical side, and the school need to, I think the students, when they come to the company, they need to work already with some choreographers, and so we need to find a way to bring to the school this contemporary side a little bit. With Agnès Testu, we started dancing together when we were like 18 years old, and our career was a little bit in parallel. For I danced in a lot of gala, I danced all the classical repertoire with her, even in some creation we were together. So when I started doing choreographies, she started doing the design from the costumes, from Mi Favorita or the Lip Suite or even Les Enfants du Paradis. So we were always working together. When I was the director in Madrid, she came as a ballet master. She did some costume also for the company in Madrid. So we're still working together all the time. And when Eleonora Bagnato called me to come to Rome, she came with me as my assistant for the first version of Corsaire. So we are always, we know each other. I know what she thinks. She knows what I think. When we are in a rehearsal, sometimes we don't need to speak, we just look at each other and the other one can react for the dancer, so it's really, really a big help. I don't do class anymore, I teach class, and you know, the fact I do a lot of yoga, that helped me a lot for when as a choreographer, because I need to be, but I think that I am fit because in my family we are all like this. I have a twin brother who is just a little bit bigger than me, but not so much. My sister is like me. I think my parents did us like this. It's a natural thing. I am not working for that. Yeah. For the moment, I think that José choreographer need to calm down. I think that being the director of Paris Opera Ballet, it's a big, full day job, and I need to be concentrate in all the things for the company. Maybe in the future, when everything will be like more calm, and when I will get used the way to work into the company, I will have time to go back into the studio and to do a new choreography. For the moment, I don't think that's a good idea. Maybe to take one of my existing choreography for the company, why not? But I will stop traveling. I am not working with other companies. I just have a project with Ballet de Bordeaux. They are performing my Don Q next June, and I will do Le Corsaire in Stockholm, because it was already planned before I was appointed director. But after that, I want to be concentrated in the company. I think it's so important, and I don't want to. I think if I am thinking about new creations and new choreographies, I need time for this. And I think that all my time is necessary for the company today.